Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Base Sunday. I'm your host, Frank Mallicoat. Got a terrific show on tap for you this morning. A lot of interesting people. And we begin in the classroom. Getting students motivated and excited about learning can be a tough chore. Our first guest has developed a compassionate way of teaching that not only educates, but taps into the minds of young kids and allows them to absorb and hold on to much more than the ABCs of education. Teachers love it too. His book, The Way of Mindful Education, Cultivating Well-Being in Teachers and Students. Please have the author, marriage and family therapist, Daniel Rechtschaffen. Did I say it right?
Rechtschaffen.
Rechtschaffen.
Yeah.
I meant to ask you that before we kicked off, but it's so much fun to talk about this. Let's kick it off. Mindfulness. What does that mean? What actually is that?
Well, the mindful experience, I always say whenever I walk into a classroom with kids, I always tell them that I'm not going to give them a definition of it. I want them to experience it themselves. Our students, as we are very kind of goal-driven. So if I went and said, mindfulness is about being relaxed and happy, a very good chance afterwards I'll say, how was that? They'll say, I was very relaxed and happy.
Right,
so
exactly.
I actually just invite them to experience their body, to watch their breath, to be aware of the world around them, aware of their minds. And amazingly, even if I just say, let's just notice what's around for a minute, students will start saying things like, I think I heard the buzz of the electric lights above me. And I'll say, have you ever experienced that? You've been sitting under these lights for 3 months now. And they'll say, I never noticed that. So mindfulness for me is really instilling wonder and a broader attention in the world that we live.
And boy, do we ever need it. You've got your cell phones and iPads. You get on BART if you're at the airport or just walking down the street, down Battery Street. Most people have their heads like this. They're going over the crosswalk. We need to kind of take a deep breath, and we don't. Why don't we?
Well, one thing that I think is important to look at is being introspective is kind of inherently vulnerable. So very often when we're looking at checking our phones or doing this, you might try the practice of, I'm not going to check my phone for a whole hour, and notice what happens. Our bodies have a kind of backlog of some emotions, some anxiousness, and that's why all of this research is coming out right now, showing how mindfulness is incredibly beneficial for anxiety, for depression, because there's a lot of these emotions we don't really look at. And when we're mindful, we slow down, we notice what's in our bodies, and we don't have to hit the kind of ejector seat over and over again, trying to distract ourselves from what's happening.
So how do you apply it to the classroom? You still got to teach them math, you still got to teach them history and all these sorts of things, but how do you encompass all that in a mindful way?
Well, the first key, and I talk about this in my book, there's 2 major parts. The first one is teachers just practicing embodying these practices themselves. A wonderful woman from the audience who was talking to us before this was saying that she started mindfulness, getting interested in it for her kids, when she started doing mindfulness because of her own anxiety, and then saw, wow, this is so amazing how relaxed I'm becoming, how attentive, how can I bring this to my kids? So first, just if you did mindfulness and didn't even say the word mindfulness to your kids and taught from a mindful place, the classroom would be different. Then when you end up bringing it to the kids, then you have to make it fun. You were talking to me about this. I work with baseball and basketball teams, teaching kids how to be mindful. And when you make it fun like that, when it's a game, an attention game, then the buy-in is there.
Well, you did a thing with some kids down on in the South Bay,
Yeah.
baseball team, where you threw them all in orange. Some guys, and you said, let's take a look at this for 5 or 10 minutes and really, give it a deep thought, peel it slow, eat it slow. And there were a lot of guys that said, sure, right, but you had them kind of turn their heads at the end of the exercise, didn't you?
Yeah, and you see in the video on my website, you see them slowly peeling it. At first it is, kids are so used to jumping to their iPad, jumping to turning on the television, that you give them this slow experience of peeling an orange, and all of a sudden it gets fascinating, and they're slowly taking bites, and this whole kind of wonder of the seemingly boring, it's kind of like the art of boredom, re-enhancing a kind of awe and enjoyment of the little things in life.
And not only in education, but in terms of, we say, hey kids, you guys got to get along, but we never really teach our kids how to be empathetic, how to be sympathetic, but through a mindful way, they can take a lot of what they learn in the classroom and just apply it to life too, right?
They really can. And just, there's an amazing organization called CASTLE, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, that's doing emotional intelligence, social emotional learning in schools. And they I've been in a bunch of the main school districts in the country, and just through this kind of emotional intelligence you're talking about, how to be nice to each other, the kind of kindergarten rules, how do you be nice to each other, how do you not hit your sister, the academic scores have gone up 11% in these districts without them doing any academic change, just teaching them how to feel safe, connected, open-hearted. And so schools love hearing that. An 11-point rise in academic scores is mind-blowing, especially when you weren't actually trying to teach them math or science, just how to feel comfortable, letting the brain relax, and teaching them how to be more present.
And finally, if it's working, will we see more of it? I know you hope so, right?
I started this about 8 years ago, and every year it's blossoming. I'm getting calls from all over the country, from the Department of Education is in touch with me about this. I was at Google the other day talking. It's expanding rather rapidly and amazingly.
I know you got a fan in the audience. Teresa is out there. She's a teacher. She loves it. She's a thinks you're a rock star. She wanted to come in and meet you. So great to meet you.
Thank you.
All the best, Daniel. For more information about the way of mindful education, log on to mindfuleducation.com. That's mindfuleducation.com. We got a lot more coming up, so stay right there, folks. We'll be right back.